to exceeding abundantly above all you can ask or think. He's going to do exceeding abundantly above all you can ask or think.
Well, you know what time it is. Come on in the room. It is E320 o'clock, and we want to call Lottie Dottie and everybody into the room. You know what we're going to ask you to do when you come into the room. You're in the E320 Empowerment Room, and we want you to go ahead and drop those prophetic words that simply states, I'm in the room, and we want you to specify where you are listening and viewing from. Whatever that place may be, whether you're in a different state than us, whether you are in your domicile, your automobile, your place of work, your place of business, your place of worship, go ahead and drop it. Let us know who you are, where you are, and that you are in the room. My daughter, Apostle Gwendolyn Ash Crew. Listen, Apostle Ash says she's on her way back. She's making a comeback. So I want you to look out for her very, very soon. Daughter, good to see you. Thank you for being in the room all the way from Gadsden, Alabama. Also, thank God for my cousin, LaShondra, all the way from Big D, Dallas, Texas. Thank you so very much. Pam, I see you. You're in the room. Okay, Pam, I see you in the room from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I see you. Thank you so very much for being in the room. Also, I am so very grateful to have all of my great co-hosts. They say they're in the room. They are already leading the way. I want you to be the pathfinder as they are the trailblazers, and go ahead and put in the chat, add highlight, add followers, and let everybody know that we are on and that they've got to be in the room. We've got to talk about this very sensitive but yet very necessary subject on today. We began this about 2 weeks ago, and we are going to take it to the next level on today. So again, we need all of you to help us accomplish that. And when you get in the room, just simply say, I'm in the room. Dr. Pam, I see that you're in the room today as well. Well, family, you know how we do it. Without further ado, I want to go ahead and present to you the one and the only. Nobody can do it like she can. She's going to welcome you formally into the room. My daughter, Apostle Gwendolyn Alexander. Come on in and tell them what they got to do when they get into the room.
Well, hello. Look like y'all done already packed this room out. Look, we have room. There is still room. Call the people. Shoo them. Tell them come on in here off that porch. It's about to go down. Y'all know what time it is. It's E320 o'clock. And don't leave out Lottie, Dottie, and everybody. We want everybody to experience this level of freedom, this level of joy. Come on in the room. We want to know we're touching lives across the globe because it's the teamwork that makes the dream work. Boy, sit down in here and we finna do something. Come on. Make room in here now. There's some room in the balcony. Even those with the helmet. Just come on. Come on in the room. I see you. Is that Yucca Valley, California? I see you. Tag and share and tell somebody it's going down in the room today. Ah, God have mercy. Bishop, you know what? Expectation is the breeding ground for a miracle. And we showed up expecting something, and all them cheering to come in here and sit on this divan. Shut that TV off. It's about to happen in here today. Come on in the room. Bishop, we're back in your hands, sir.
Well, thank you so very much, Apostle Alexander. And again, I am so honored to have sharing with me. You know them already, but just in case it's your first time in the room, let me formally introduce and then yet present to others my son all the way. I call him the mayor of 29 Palms, California, Apostle Perry Ford from the Sanctuary Church at 29 Palms. Apostle, thank you, man, for being in the room on today. What are you expecting God to do in the room?
I'm expecting promises to be met and promises to be fulfilled as we continue to talk about who's holding your letter.
Hey, hallelujah. Listen, I felt something on that. I felt something on the word expectation when Apostle Alexander put it out there. I felt promises when Apostle Ford put it out there. Here is what I need you to do. Put in the chat, I'm expecting fulfilled promises. Would you put that in the chat? Man, listen, we're getting crazy already. We're putting our faith into action already. Put it in the chat. That's what I'm expecting. Nothing less. Tamika Sanders, good to see you. Yucca Valley. Thank you so very much, Pastor Dwayne Phoenix. Thank you for being in the room as well. Prophetess Natalie Morris, my cousin, Kimberly Williams Henry. Thank you so very much, cousin, for being in the room. Baby D, thank you for being in the room on today. Thank you, my son. Prophet Kelby Berry is in the room all the way from Garland, Texas on today. Listen, guys, you can't be selfish. You got to invite somebody else to come in the room. Let's go ahead and spread this like church gossip and let them know that we are on the air and it's E320 o'clock. Well, I'm also so very grateful to have sharing with me my daughter right here from the Impact Church South. We call her KC, Evangelist Kimberly Clark. KC, what do you believe God's getting ready to do today?
I'm expecting healing. I'm expecting people to get language for their wounds so they can really start healing from them.
Jesus. Did y'all hear that? In other words, God's about to speak to you in a supernatural, divinely articulate fashion that's going to address your specific issue. I want you to drop in the chat, he's about to talk to me. Would you put that in the chat right now? He's about to talk to me. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to talk to you, but what I am declaring and decreeing is that he will talk to me. The Bible said, thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established. In the Hebraic tongue, a decree means to cut some stuff down, or to establish it means to settle it and make it final. Woo. Lord have mercy. As it is in Hollywood with a director who's producing a movie, you can't watch it thoroughly in its entirety until they get to the final cut. Here is what I want you to put in the chat. This is the final cut. That thing that I've been trying to break through, that thing that I've been trying to get to, I'm about to make the final cut. I'm tearing, I'm cutting, I'm severing some things in order to get to the things that God has promised me. We told you earlier, we're expecting the fulfillment of promises. Also, another great daughter with us on today from Homer, Louisiana, Faith Walker's Church. My daughter, we call her Dr. A, Dr. Adrian Woods. What do you expect God to do today?
Bishop, I'm standing on those boundaries. I'm expecting you all to set these boundaries so you can establish things so you won't burn out. Boundaries again, Bishop, boundaries.
I got it. I got it. I got it. Thank you so very much. We're going to create some lines of demarcation, because when God starts fulfilling the promises, speaking the language that we need to hear for our healing, bringing us into the reality that he has promised to bring us into, cutting and severing, giving us the final cut, we've got to know how to create lines of demarcation, and they manifest as boundaries. That's some good stuff on today. Well, listen, without further ado, I have another great grandson with me on today. He hails from 29 Palms, California Sanctuary Church as well. I call him Pastor T. Pastor Terrence, what do you believe God's about to do today?
I'm a believing granddad. Again, thank you for being on here, and to my spiritual father, both of you guys, for allowing me to be on here again. But I'm expecting God to rain identity and purpose on here today as we discover who's holding our ladder and why we are holding the ladder.
So what you're suggesting is God's getting ready to identify the specific people that's going to help us ascend to the place where purpose is calling us. So we have promises that we are expecting to be fulfilled. God's speaking the language that's necessary. We're going to create lines of demarcation, but yet God's about to give the specificities of those who's supposed to be where. We're going to know who, and we're going to know where in this season. That's some good stuff. Listen, last but certainly not least, my eldest, my beloved daughter, and whom I'm going to beat later. I love her so very much. Pastor Elizabeth Mason Taylor. Daughter, what do you believe God's about to do today?
Thank you so much, sir. I am really looking for open manifestation, demonstration, and alignment within myself and within his people because it's time. It's
Hallelujah.
time.
I feel
Yes,
something
sir.
on that. The fulfillment of divine promises, giving language to our healing. We're going to create boundaries as a result, but then God's getting ready to give us the specifics or the specificity of the who and the where. But yet, guys, we're also going to come into the place where God's going to align us, but then God's getting ready. And I'm going to sum it up like this: to divinely prosper us. Now, here is what I need you to put in the chat. It won't make much sense right now, but remember, it doesn't have to make sense to make a miracle. Here is what I want you to put in the chat. I got the next move. Would you put that in the chat? I've got the next move. I don't know who I just prophesied to. I've got the next move, which means it's your turn. God's waiting on you to do that which is necessary for him to take you to the place where he wants you to be. Now, here is the next and the last thing I want you to put in the chat. I'm telling you, man, I feel the prophetic fire burning already. Would you put in the chat, my next move won't be my last move, but it will be my best move? Would you put that in the chat, my next move? And if that's too much for you, just put in there, my next move is going to be my best move. So I'm not out of moves yet. I'm just sitting up waiting for the time to start moving again. Well, family, you heard it right from these prophetic vessels, what we know God is going to do on today. As you continue to come in, I still want you to say that you're in the room. Let us know where you are viewing us from as we get ready to move forward. Now, today we're delving right back into the same topic we've been dealing with for the sum of 3 weeks, and that is the interrogative statement, who's holding your ladder? And our subtitle is Balancing Leadership, Loyalty, and Lifting Hands Without Losing Alignment. We are looking to build and to bless and to believe in those who help us climb. Can I prophesy again? We're looking to build, to bless, and also to believe in those who help us climb, because there is nowhere you've gotten to or ascended to that you got to by yourself. Can I tell you that success is never single? It's never singular. And failure is always plural, because failure has a family. Someone is depending upon your success so they can know they don't have to fail. And I believe God has aligned you with us on today. I see you, Irene, Shreveport, Louisiana. In order for you to be able to receive the necessary tools for success, well, again, you're in the empowerment room. We call it E320. We believe in the promises of Ephesians 3:20 that simply states, now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we can ask or think, according to the power that works within us. I am your host, believing God to do the most in you, for you, and through you, Bishop R.G. Mason II. And we put this platform together to enkindle your faith, expand your vision, and empower you to believe, experience, and walk in the miraculous power of God. Now, as always, we begin with our confession of faith. It's going to be on the screen, and no matter where you are, I want you to quote it with us aloud, because you're prophesying as you quote it and recite it. And it reads, I walk in the power of Ephesians 3:20. I am empowered to prosper, healed in my body, and sound in my mind. I am emotionally intelligent. I'm fully prepared and anointed for the moment I walk in. See, my co-host already know it. Y'all may not have got it, but every time I get right here, I feel something. I want you to put in the chat, this is my moment. Man, this is my, I've been waiting. I've been waiting for this moment right here. I know all hell is breaking loose, but I've been fully prepared and aligned for this moment that I'm in right now, which means if I'm in warfare, I have the tools to win the war. It means if I'm going through hell, I've got the power to put out the fire, because this is the moment that I've been aligned for. I carry the spiritual insight and the strategies of Solomon. I live under an open heaven. Yes, God, yeah, God. And no good thing shall be withheld from me. Now, I need you to say this like you mean it. I believe it. I receive it. I walk in it. And it is so. Well, listen, today our foundational text is coming from Exodus chapter 17, verses 10 through 13. And many of you understand this particular text. You have read it, you've preached it, you've heard it, preached it, you're hearing, you've studied it and meditated upon it. But if I could give you the Cliff Notes version, it speaks of a time when Israel was fighting the Amalekites and Moses stood on the mountain and he represented not only the vision of Israel, but he represented the victory that Israel was going to have. And so when his arms were lifted, Israel prevailed in the battle. But whenever his arms dropped and they became fatigued, the Amalekites prevailed in the battle. And so there were two prophetic ladder holders who understood something without having to be told something, that if I can get on one side of my leader and you can get on the other side of our leader, we can hold up his hands and all of us can experience victory within the battle. They were Aaron and Hur. And the Bible says, so Joshua did as Moses said to him, fought with Amalek, and Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. Now, I want to shout out some Joshuas who's down in the valley fighting, and you believe that you're becoming too weary because you can't do it by yourself. God has not forgotten about you. Moses is looking over you, but then there are some Aarons and Hurs that are coming to assist you. And the Bible says it came to pass when Moses held up his hand that Israel prevailed. When he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed, but Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone, put him under it, set him there. Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands on the one side, and the other side his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword, which means he defeated them because everybody got in their proper place. Now, Moses stood as the visionary on the mountain, but his victory depended upon those who could hold up his hands and make him steady when strength began to fade. Now, I want you to understand that Aaron and Hur were fighting a visible were not fighting a visible battle. They were holding up an invisible arm. Stay with me, because even though they held up the physical arms of Moses, they were holding up the invisible and spiritual arms of the leadership that ultimately kept Israel together. There's some leader here now. Your invisible arms are tired, and God says he's sending you some prophetic errands and some prophetic Hurs who's going to help you hold the vision together. May I prophesy to you, it's not falling apart in this season. I know it seems sketchy. I know it seems iffy, but you won't fall apart in this season. God's anointing somebody to come in your life who has the grace to hold you up. Would you put that in the chat? Somebody's coming to hold me up. And when I say hold you up, I don't mean waste your time. I don't mean delay you. I don't mean cause a detour or a deviation in your life. I mean pick you up because you were too tired to stand up by yourself. It could be in ministry, in business, in marriage, in mentorship. There is going to be a supernatural rhythm that's created between you and those who are called to assist you. Now, for the sake of this lesson, we call one a climber. and we call one a holder. One's climbing the ladder, but then there are those who are called to hold the ladder. Every Moses needs an Aaron and a Hur, not for applause, but for alignment, so that you can keep me straight and focused enough so I can continue to ascend in the climb. And every climber needs a holder who can keep the ladder steady without them having to digress in order to progress, which means they don't have to come down from the ladder as they ascend up the ladder. But every ladder holder must be trained and trusted, because if the hands are unstable, the fall is the inevitable, which means you won't be able to ascend very long. So here is the question that is echoed throughout the text and throughout this subject matter, and you're going to hear it proliferated throughout the platform. Who's holding your ladder? See, a ladder represents opportunity and responsibility. It's the structure that connects where you are to where you're going. But ladders don't stand by themselves. They require the assistance from someone else to have the stability in order to help sustain and support someone else's strength. They try to hold you as you climb it. It is designed to be a system of accountability and ascension. But you've got to be careful who you allow to hold your ladder, because just because they're gifted does not mean they have the grace to hold your ladder. Just because they are anointed doesn't mean they have the ability to hold your ladder. You've got to be discerning in this particular season to know who's called to do what in your life. In psychology, there's a concept that touches all aspects of relational dynamics, and it's called dependency dynamics and interdependence theory, which deals with the fact that healthy systems operate through mutual reliance, which means I rely on you and you rely on me. I need you and you need me. We support and sustain each other in order to keep one another from being in a system or a place of strain. When dependency becomes one-sided, we psychologically break down, we burn out, we develop resentment, and sometimes we even develop fatigue. And so it's imperative that we understand that divine assignments require divine alignment. See, the battle below in the text was won by the balance above. But in our lives, in the case of ladder holders and ladder climbers, it's the balance below that helps win the battle above, which means you got to hold me down here as I ascend up there. When leadership gets heavy, it's not the weight that's a sign of weakness. The weight is a signal for weight lifters. You know what that means? It means you've got to see me under the strain of my assignment, and you've got to come help me. Now, I'd like to coin a phrase called spiritual synergistic dominance. Now, this particular word comes from biomechanics, and synergistic dominance deals with the fact that a weaker muscle will sometimes kick in and try to help a stronger muscle because it refuses to let that muscle work by itself. In other words, if you're working your pecs, your shoulder is going to automatically kick in, but you've got to develop mind-muscle connection, tell your shoulder to stay out of it so you can work your chest. Well, likewise, in the body of Christ, we should have those who are assigned to help us, but yet know their place and know when they're supposed to produce. Because anything outside of that creates abnormality and deformity, and it causes people to ultimately burn out and become inactive, to become wounded, silenced, and sometimes even become absent. But I believe that the reason God allowed you to tune in today is because you're getting ready to have the wherewithal to not only see, but also seize the moment when you understand who is designed to do what and who has been divinely appointed to beware, because identifying who's holding your ladder will ultimately mean that you are preventing others from shaking your ladder. Because if they're not holding it, they may be trying to shake it, because everybody beneath you is not supporting you. Some folk are just waiting for you to fail so they can say, I told you so. And if you're going to have a system that works through supernatural automation, here is what you need to do. You may want to jot this down. Put this on the screen. Learn how to train your replacement. A secure leader raises ladder holders and ladder climbers. And they do this through instruction, watch this, but also through illustration, which means you don't just tell me what to do, you show me how to do it. But instruction and illustration sometimes is not enough to gather the greatness from me and thrust it where God is calling me. But here is the latter element, Dr. KC. The latter element is there has to be inspiration, which means you've got to inspire people to be great. You've got to produce an atmosphere that is the antithesis of mediocrity. You've got to produce atmospheres where mediocre people stay so uncomfortable that they have to ascend into greatness even if they don't want to. And that comes, no pun intended, cheap plug, by also producing cultures of honor. Because honored hands steady your ladder. When you honor the people that are serving you, they don't mind supporting you. Gratitude builds generosity and loyalty, but entitlement breeds resentment and enemies. Anytime you treat your people like they have to serve you, like you're lording over them, you are ultimately training up people that will eventually resent you and become an enemy to you. But can I flip the script before I move on and pass this to our co-host? I think we also must develop the discernment, Alexander, to know everybody who's ambitious is not an Absalom. Because we're so used to many times in charismatic circles creating inferior cultures that breed eunuchs who have no ability and no potency, so that we're not threatened because of our insecurity, that when someone reaches the full stage of maturity and understand their ability, we ultimately misdiagnose them as being Absaloms. But the reality is sometimes they're just ambitious. And if you don't want them to be great, stop exemplifying greatness in front of them. And here is the truth of the matter. Sometimes the reality is we have to check something within us to see why we're breeding those kind of people around us. Jezebel had eunuchs because she had to be controlling and manipulative and dominant. But she also had to have a husband called Ahab, which was a passive spirit, an apathetic spirit, which allowed anything to go. But if you study history, it took the spirit of Jezebel and the spirit of Ahab to not only give birth to eunuchs, create a conducive atmosphere for eunuchs, but they gave birth to a daughter called Athaliah. And Athaliah was an unruly spirit. It is said to be akin to the serpentine demon that ultimately manifests itself not only as the python spirit of divination, but Leviathan at the same time, because it uprooted and was so unruly until it tried to overthrow everything. And so you've got to be careful in this particular season, and you've got to know who's holding your ladder. You've got to know who's truly stabilizing you and who's stealing your success at the same time. Well, it's very important that we create a structure of support But we've got to make sure that we understand those who are at the very root and the core of the structure, and if they've truly been called to support us. Apostle Alexander, as we look at this particular passage and we see these dynamics, Joshua's in the valley. We see Moses, who's positioned and seated in the right place of authority. We see Aaron on one side. We see her on the other side. We have victory. We have that person in the valley who's fighting. We've got vision coming from Moses. We have one person on the one side who's dealing with the vicissitudes of life, those issues that are just coming. But then on the other side, we have another who's dealing with those issues that try to victimize us. When you look at this passage, can you tell this audience what it reveals about divine partnership and the structure of support in kingdom assignments? How vital and how important is that specifically for us in the times in which we live?
Bishop, first of all, sir, you have just beat us to death with this word. We first understand that Moses had vision, but here is the lesson. Vision alone don't win battles. They don't win battles. And so Aaron and her, they were what you call stabilizers.
No. No. There it is. There it is. Did you say vision alone doesn't win battles? So in essence, by default, I can be blind and have victory because my sight is not enough. Can you work that just a little bit before you go forward?
Victory is favor. Victory itself is favor. You can have victory, you can have favor. Vision takes a team. When they see it, they'll run with it. You don't vision runners. And so vision, that's vision alone, it don't win battles. So you have Aaron and her, and I told the people where I preach the most, everybody's name in here is Aaron and her. You pick it, that's your name. And because you're a stabilizer, the unseen strength that upheld the visible leader. I don't see you. You see me at the top of the ladder, but you don't see the strength at the bottom that's holding the ladder. All you see is me going up, but I cannot go up unless this ladder is stabilized. If it's not stable, one false move, I'm going to fall. But I need the stabilizers. And so when we understand that God don't just call individuals, but he assembles teams. And so you can't just... I have to get rid of these people to say I'm a pew member. No, because team players are not pew members. Even when I watch y'all's favorite football team, the Cowboys, all y'all on mute, don't nobody say nothing. The team that's not on the field, the players that's not on the field, they walking up and down the sideline. They're the cheerleaders. And so you're a stabilizer regardless of where your position is. You may not be at the bottom of the ladder, but you somewhere get in position to hold it. And so it's the teamwork that makes the dream work. And we must understand that if we're doing something other than working the team, we are out of place. Absolutely out of place. And so what Ecclesiastes says it best, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their labor. So support is a secondary, but it is supernatural. And that is my story for the moment, and I'm sticking to it.
That's good stuff right there. Again, it's secondary. It's not secondary, but it is supernatural. So it's important for us to have that support system. But one of the things I gathered from what you said is that we've got to be very careful who we choose to be those particular people, which means we can't be trusted to pick our team by ourselves. We need discernment to be the guide and the guys that we use in order to pick those teammates. That's good stuff. So Apostle Ford, I want to kind of tag that which she stated, and I want to coagulate it with your question. And the question is, how can leaders in ministry and business protect the ones who hold their ladders from fatigue and frustration that's sure to come when you are holding the ladder? Could it be, here is the B portion, could it be that it's very vital to make sure that discernment picks those people, because when discernment picks those people, they may have the capacity to be able to hold it and to veer off frustration and fatigue in the process? Can you help us and elaborate upon that?
Yes, sir. Thank you once again for being on. I just love this in the sense that we have to understand as a leader, you're not just climbing, but there are people that are holding you must care for, because without caring for them, your ladder will not be stable. And when we look at Moses, he didn't ignore his exhaustion. I love it because he pulled up a rock and he sat down. He realized that he was tired. He realized, if I keep standing, I don't care how long they hold my arms up, I'm going to wibble and wobble and I might fall down. Even with my arms up, I need to be stabilized by sitting down. So I need to have them to continue to hold me up while I'm there. And I know sometimes as leaders, we don't think it's necessary for us to sit down. We think we always got to stand up. But sometimes we got to sit down while people are holding us up. And then we must create the rhythm. And
hold on. That was a siren, sir. So sometimes that was a siren administration. That was a siren. Sometimes you're saying we have to sit down while people hold us up. Now you're referring to this dynamic in the text, and I heard you intimate the fact that they set Moses down. I want you to talk about the level of security Moses had to have, and how he had to resist the urge to become egomaniacal when his team told him to sit.
If I may, and I might be like my sister Elizabeth Mason Taylor and get in trouble later, but I know this bishop that I love dearly, and there's sometimes that we have Aaron and hers on the sides, but we pull up the rock, and sometimes it's hard for him to sit down because he thinks he always got to stand. But he know he has stabilizers and he know he has the seat, but sometimes he doesn't take the seat. And sometimes it needs other people to insist that I know you're Superman, I know you can handle it, but you need to sit down while we hold you up. You can still be dynamic. You can still get the fire. You can still move things forward. But in this moment, I need you to sit down, because if you don't sit down, you will never, you won't continue to go where you need to go. So we have to acknowledge that both fuel and affirmation. I got to acknowledge both of them. I got to acknowledge that they're there to help me. I got to acknowledge the affirmation of them. I got to acknowledge all this. And 1 Thessalonians 5:3-12-13 says, keep them which labor among you. And I love the second part of this. And esteem them very high in love for their work's sake. We got to learn how to esteem the people that are holding our ladders. We got to learn how to look at them. Hey, look, I appreciate you. I have armor, adjutants and things. And I always tell, hey, look, it's your anniversary. I don't need you to come here if your wife's sick. I don't need you to do something for me if it's your anniversary. I don't need you if it's your child's birthday. I need to let you know that I care enough about you that I can pick up my own bag. I can drive my own self. And I need you to take care of business, because when you do that, you will get loyalty, because you cannot sustain loyalty if you ignore sustained labor rather. You won't get the loyalty you need if you keep abusing the people who are working with you. So you got to care for them. You got to understand that you need them to survive. And I'm gonna leave that like that.
That is absolutely good stuff. And listen, everybody who was laughing while he was indirectly talking about me, you fired. Okay, listen, but seriously, seriously, Apostle Ford, we have to deal with this, and I'm going to throw the lob over to Dr. A. But I think it's so necessary for us to create the balance that's needed within the service aspect of ministry as it relates to home and church. I tell our folk all the time, do not open my door if you don't open your wife's door. Don't hold my bags if you're not holding your wife's stuff. Don't get me anything if you're not buying her everything. Because the reality is charity, you understand the old adage, begins at home and then it spreads abroad. But I believe there are some leaders who abuse the privilege, who ultimately don't understand that there's already a psychological battle going on when you have people who are either your age, a little younger than you, sometimes even older than you, who are serving you. That there's a psychological battle there already that's going on. They may not be egomaniacal and they may not subject themselves to it, but yet the enemy is there already. And when you lord over them without saying thank you, when you become a tyrant without showing the gratitude and latitude necessary to believe that they could be doing something else and sometimes they should be doing something else, that can create a perverted dynamic by itself. Dr. A, I want you to tag into this, but I also want you to deal with the psychology between the relationship of Moses, Aaron, and her. And I want you to talk to us about the necessary interdependence that we must have in order to avoid leadership fatigue. But I want you to talk about the level of humility and the level of spiritual and mental and social identity that we must have in order to remain humble enough to have these proper interactions.
Yes, Dad, Bishop, thank you again once again for giving me this opportunity. Psychologically, listen, one of the first signs, and this is so loaded, and I need us to pay attention because
you sound a little muffled, daughter.
A little muffled. Can you hear me, Bishop? I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Okay, that's okay.
Okay.
No, it's still a little muffled, and if we got to deal with it like that, but I know you're saying some good stuff. There you go. There you go.
Okay. Psychologically, this is really loaded when it comes to this because one of the first signs of depression is isolation, but one of the first signs of the deterioration in psychologically and mentally is depression. It's loaded. Bear ye one another's burdens, so you will fulfill the law of Christ. We are wired, our brains are wired to commune with people, to connect with people. And so when it comes to this relationship with Moses, Aaron, and Hur, they all played a part. But Moses played not only same because he was the larger figure in this, but he played the biggest part because he was humble enough to let everyone do their part. Joshua is on the field. Joshua is leading the men in battle. We have Aaron and Hur that are they symbolize his mental and his spiritual load. So they symbolize his emotional reinforcement, really, when you come to it, because they sat him down, they lifted him up. So they were there mentally. And they were there because when you think about his strength, the strength, of course, was in them helping him hold his hands up. God was going to do what he needed to do. But when you see what they were doing and letting him allowing them to do that for him and to keep him held up, you see that him not going to be isolated and deteriorating, knowing he was not in a place where he can do this for himself and allowing them to do it. It shows that leaders who isolate themselves will eventually deteriorate because he could not have done that by himself. He allowed them to do it, and we saw the strength in it. And it gave us many, many lessons in this because we see that isolation is really our exhaustion in disguise. Whenever we isolate, we're exhausted. We can dress it up as I'm spending time with God, I'm on sabbatical. You can dress it up any way you want. But there has to be a connection. Someone has to step in and hold that ladder. And you have to be man enough, woman enough to let them hold it and let them continue on so you can fulfill the law of God.
Wow, good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm gonna tell you, there's something I heard in what you said, and Evangelist KC, I want you to get ready to jump in here. We're playing double dutch. I heard you deal with the fact that they got the stone, positioned Moses, held up his arms. But I think also the text says until the going down of the sun, which means until the end of the day. Here is the reality. The text never gives us any indication that they were operating under supernatural power. They were operating under regular human ability and prowess, which also speaks to the fact that just like Moses got tired, I'm sure they got tired as well. And so, Evangelist KC, I want you to talk to us about the signs that those who are holding the ladder, the spiritual Aarons and hers that are holding up the arms of the leader, what are the signs that they're becoming weary, fatigued, disengaged, and ultimately burn out? And how should we respond to that?
But when you start noticing them being silent, them giving like short replies, a lack of enthusiasm, lack of eye contact from those people who once helped you carry those things with you, it's not them rebelling. They're exhausted. It's fatigue. Sometimes the people holding your ladder, they're not tired of you. They're tired with you, as you were just saying. They've been.
No, that was a siren. You said they make, see, I was thinking they were tired of me. So you said they're not tired of me, they're tired with me. Yes, you got to work that some more. You got to work that because Alexander gonna preach it. Come on.
Yes, sir. They've been carrying more than they were built to hold. And instead of them saying that they're tired, they just start disconnecting in little small ways. And as leaders, you can't really take that.
No. You're saying too much good stuff too fast. So could it be that we create cultures where it's not kosher to say you're tired? Absolutely. And could it also be that we have to start intentionally creating cultures of transparency and candor where people can say where they really are without being ostracized? Can you help us with that one?
Absolutely. There is a culture where, you saying you're tired, you're saying that you need a break. It's kind of looked down on, that you have to push through, that it's dishonorable if you don't. And so we have to start literally from the top down, and be a different example to start changing that culture, because this has been years in the making where people feel like this. And that's why we have such a disconnect with people's heart to serve and their willingness to serve, because they're so mixed up in these two. And so you can't really keep expecting strength from people that you don't really check on. Maybe they don't need a meeting just yet, but they just need a chance to really breathe without feeling like, you'll forget about them if they don't, or you'll treat them differently if they make a mistake. And it's easy to assume that people are checked out, but sometimes they're just empty. I think sometimes leaders can get so focused on the vision that they forget that the people helping you carry that vision, they're human too. And so when you notice that kind of shift, you slow down, ask questions, show gratitude. A simple thank you can go a whole lot further than anything else can, right? And so support has structure. And when one gets too weak, that weight, it shifts for everybody involved. And you can't build longevity if the people around you are silently breaking down. But in that same way, you have to create a safe space for them to be able to come to you instead of being silent, right? And so let them know that you see them, and even rotate the responsibilities around too if you need to.
Wow, good stuff. So if I'm in a culture where I'm afraid to tell my leader I'm tired, I'm afraid to tell my leader my child has a game, I'm afraid to tell my leader My spouse wants to take me to dinner tonight. I'm afraid to tell my leader I hadn't cleaned my house in 7 days. And fear, ostracism, criticism, and ridicule. I may very well be in a culture of witchcraft. I may very well be in a system where I'm being controlled by man more than God. I had one of my leaders before to come to me after they had made me a promise to be at church, KC. And they said to me, Bishop, I'm so, I mean, they were so sincere with tears in their eyes. I'm so sorry. I didn't know my baby has back to school night and I was coming, but I don't know what to do. I said, you don't know what to do? I said, you better go to your baby's back to school night. That's as simple as that. I said, and I've had some do that about games and other things. Listen, these things come once in a lifetime. Church is going to be here. And the reality is, anytime someone guilts you into coming in, when there is a necessary and viable situation that calls for your attention, that's an environment of witchcraft. Now, let me bring balance, because some of y'all are not committed. You're dishonorable. You're never there anyway. And so sometimes leaders just want you there because you're never there. And again, that does not give credence to someone telling you to choose church over your family. It's God, your family, and then church. That's the order of God. And we've got to get back to promoting that so we can build healthy homes. Healthy homes produces healthy churches, man. And when we understand that and we start at the core root and build healthy individuals, which creates healthy communities, which builds healthy churches, then we can see our visions fulfilled. And I believe that is so very vital. Now, as we shift forward, Pastor T, she's talking about so eloquently, like only Casey could, about building that culture where team members can be real one with another. Sometimes it shouldn't have to get to the pastor. Sometimes you should be able to go to another team member and be real enough to say, hey, pray with me because I have the wrong spirit, or pray with me because I don't feel it today. Help me to get to the place where I need to be so I can increase the fire and not hinder the fire. How does teamwork and your military training of discipline help maintain balance between those leading and those holding the line, those climbing and those holding the ladder? How can we create that balance?
Well, first of all, Granddad, they came over here today. They are throwing bombs, dropping bombs. I don't even know. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, so first of all, listen. Any Marine would tell you that when we're on the line, it's not about the rank. It's about rhythm. The mission only moves when everybody's moving in sync. And you can't shout, cover me, if the one next to you is still scrolling through their ego. Well, you didn't say cover me, sergeant, or you didn't say cover me, corporal, or you didn't say cover me, evangelist, prophet, whatever. If you are concerned about that versus moving, then discipline without unity is going to cause chaos. So discipline without unity is chaos in disguise. And I've learned over the 2 combat tours that I have done is you don't fight alone. You fight with alignment, because disorder is the devil's favorite door, and the kingdom alignment isn't optional. It's survival.
Hold on. See, I tried to help you at first. No sirens, discipline without unity is disorder. You come back with this devil stuff. Man, you can't say that and just keep moving. You got to explain this stuff, man. Come on.
Because disorder is the devil's favorite door, and the kingdom alignment isn't optional. It's survival. The anointing flows through order, not opinion. But before we shout about destiny, we have to check our formation. You can't fight spiritual battles with emotional soldiers. So some of us want the victory of Moses, but we don't want the discipline of Joshua. You want to hold on to the rod, but you don't want to hold the line.
No. Give him a siren and a thunder crash. Both of them. So you said we can't fight spiritual battles with emotional soldiers. I don't even care if you answer the rest of that question. Matter of fact, that question that I asked you initially, we gonna call that old and past. I need you to work that right there. Lord have mercy.
And Granddad, and this is something I've been on all week actually. Is you know, we holler faith, we holler all of these different things or whatever, and we want to fight these battles, but your emotions are not intact. You holler faith, but you're still worried. You holler you want to be healed, but you're not doing the necessary steps to be healed. You know, so we can't fight these spiritual battles when your emotions are louder than your faith is. You know, so I don't know. The mission only wins when the leader gives direction and the holder gives devotion. Teamwork is literally warfare, and alignment is your honor. Your armor, excuse me. You can't claim kingdom victory if you keep breaking rank. And now that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Teamwork, Lord have mercy, is warfare, and your honor is your armor. Lord have mercy. Listen, come on, my baby girl is coming, and Pastor Elizabeth Mason Taylor. Listen, you've heard all this good stuff concerning teamwork, concerning people being properly aligned and in their place from a business and relational standpoint. How can one identify when it's time to add extra hands to the ladder? Because these hands may have become fatigued. Or watch this, these hands may have served their purpose because we're in a different season, which may require a different set of hands. How can one discern when it's time to pivot and make that particular shift?
You use the word discern, but I really want to say this. Most of us know that it's time when we experience growth. However, truth be told, most of us don't identify or recognize it's time to add hands until we start experiencing failure and loss. Loss in business, you're losing customers, loss in your marriage, there's a disconnect in the marriage, things aren't what they used to, complaints from the children. We used to do this, now we're not doing that. When you start experiencing loss, most of the time, that's the time when you start saying, I need to figure out what's happening and what's going on. And then that's the time when you start trying to rebuild. Yes, I understand. I understand. But that's the time that you start recognizing, if I don't make a change now, I'm going to lose it all. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's not all the time when growth shows up, but most of the time, 95% of the time, when failure and loss shows up is when we identify change needs to take place. Yes, sir.
So let me ask you this. John Maxwell talked about failing forward and how it's necessary to be a part of the small percentage of individuals who plan to fail. I know that sounds contradictory because we all plan to succeed, but failure many times is going to be the inevitable. Thomas Edison was asked, why is it that the light bulb took 99 failures before he had one success? And he replied, I didn't have 99 failures. I had 99 steps to success. And the reality is sometimes you have to fail in order for you to learn from your failure in order to thrust forward. My question to you, you talked about that loss, and you know the old adage is that an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. How can we get to the place where we put in proper maintenance and we stop waiting for stuff to break down? We stop waiting for the losses to occur, and we start putting in safety and pre-maintenance measures. How can we do that without you shouting too much off it and falling out the chair and ruining this whole podcast? Can you talk to us?
I'm going to tell you this. Pastor Alexander said something earlier, the vision runners. I believe when we create the vision, we don't create the vision with the level or with room to understand that, hey, it's a possibility that plan A won't work. So, where's my plan B? And then when plan B doesn't work, what will I do with plan C? Yes, sir, I understand. But I think it is about planning in the beginning. And that's something that I had to learn. I had to learn in business. Planning is one of the most important things that you will ever do if you're going to be Fortune 500, if you're going to be an excellent parent, if you're going to be a wonderful wife. If you don't plan, you can lose it all. So planning, yes, sir.
So good stuff. Good stuff. Do you have to wait to be big to act big? Or should you learn to act big like you're small? Act big while you're small so you don't have to stay small. You've heard me say many times, if you stay small enough, long enough, you'll be big enough soon enough, but you got to act big while you're small. Should I put certain things in place on the level that I'm on until I'm able to master that level, but always have in mind to scale up to go to the next level and never allow mediocrity to creep in to make me comfortable where I am, but always have an appetite to ascend to somewhere greater? Now, before you answer that question, I think because there are those out here who really are battling with this because they want to scale, but they don't know how to scale. Is it important also for you to find someone who's already scaled? Absolutely. And be able to find the clues that success leads? Can you talk to that person who thinks they're going to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps? Talk to them.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I just shared with someone the other day. Every day I'm looking at someone else to see what they're doing. Every day I'm going through the different websites, the different networks to find out what's happening in business now, what's profitable for us now, so that we're able to level up and scale up while I'm still on the level that I'm on. I'm looking every day at other insurance agencies. How are you all running your agency? I'm looking at those who are doing auto title services. Well, how are you getting the word out? What are you doing? If you don't have someone that's before you or someone that you can glean from, you'll never know. I think you said it best. Exposure brings on expansion. You taught us that years ago. Expose yourself, even though, oh Lord, have mercy on my soul. Even though you are where you are, a promise has been pronounced over your life. Exceedingly, abundantly, and above. He will do those things for you. But if you never expose yourself, if you never look to others who have run and gone before you, you will never know that you can tap into those things. You can have life more abundantly. You can do the same things and more if you don't position yourself to be exposed so that you can tap into your promises that's been pronounced over your life. Lord, have mercy. Sir, I apologize.
I'm cutting you off.
To my soul.
I'm cutting you off and your soul. Listen, here is what I want to say to everybody who's watching my daughter do her thing and who's listening to all of these prophetic voices. Hear me when I tell you, planning is necessary. When you fail to plan, you have already planned to fail. Proper planning produces proper results. But here is my addendum. You better write it in pencil. Stop writing your vision with a permanent marker. Stop writing your vision in ink. Write it in pencil and buy you an extra auxiliary eraser or ancillary eraser. Man, because you're going to erase some stuff. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to get some stuff wrong. But most importantly, you're going to have some stuff outdated because the society is constantly moving. And so it's important for us to have that connection with people more relevant than us. I tell folk all the time when they say nice things about me and they give me all of the accolades, I tell them I'm just dumb enough to have smart people around me to make me look good. I staff my weaknesses and I work my strengths. I know what I'm good at, but I know what I'm not good at, and you won't talk me into doing what I'm not good at. I know my grace. And so, Alexander, what happens when we don't really know that? And when the spiritual one at the top neglect the ones that are at the bottom, and they neglect them spiritually, they neglect them physically, they neglect them emotionally, they neglect them mentally, but watch this, sometimes even financially. When that kind of disconnect comes between the ladder climber and the ladder holder, what is the inevitable?
Well, first of all, the inevitable is failure. We must understand that God's design is relational and interdependent. So when leaders disconnect from those they serve, they literally interrupt the flow of grace, wisdom, and protection. And that's meant to cover the entire body. So neglect from the top creates spiritual bottlenecks. Vision may still be cast, but it will never reach the ground where it's meant to bear the fruit. Never. And so we have to be mindful of that. That if we don't be careful, we will suffocate our own ladder holders, if I can. So dishonor at the top, it'll drain the strength. It will literally create an unnecessary battle. And you said something so powerful. Usually it's because of my own inter-ego struggles. I have to be, you got to recognize me. You got to know who I am. And so I'm suffocating you when I'm a stickler for family. I'm a stickler for family. And thank you, sir, because we have become so religious minded, we forgot. And this is a plug right here. When we put honor back in its place, and it starts at the house, then we will honor the fact that we have to take care of family. We have to take care of our ladder holders, because otherwise it's called a self-inflicted wound. It's a self-inflicted wound, and you can't blame absolutely nobody. It's Romans 12:10 that says, be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love, in honor preferring one another. So overall, neglect destroys networks, honor restores order. We must admonish those that hold our ladder. I could not be at the top of this ladder without the ladder holders. I can't afford to suffocate you, because if I suffocate you, I just killed myself. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Alexander, oh my God, you set forward up so beautifully. Listen, so you heard me use the terms auxiliary, ancillary. And I think sometimes, though we mean well, and I understand for those of you who are in the educational field, there are multiple meanings for auxiliary. One means support system, but here's the thing. Most times it speaks to something that's subsidiary or supplementary, which means it's there to provide help if needed. And I don't think that our department heads and our volunteers are really auxiliary, ancillary, subsidiary, and supplementary. I believe they are of necessity, because we can't do what we do without them doing what they do. And I believe it is that level of disconnect that sometimes make me lord over them and make me hold positions over their head and use witchcraft power positioning to maneuver one and put the other there through gaslighting, and make you feel like you're going to miss something if you jump out of line, because you can't get no anointment if you're not in my alignment. When reality is God anointed you. I don't want to mess up nobody. But the truth be told, we sometimes, because of our misunderstanding of our support staff, we fail to recognize them and we fail to honor them properly. There's that word again, Alexander. But Ford, what happens when that disconnect comes within the dynamic of the ladder holder and the climber, and there is no longer any reverence or respect? I will not make the ladder holder the offensive and the climber the defensive. I will not even do it vice versa, because again, that disconnect within the dynamic can come from either side. Can you address that, sir?
Yes, sir. One of the things we have to understand is sometimes as leaders, we get caught up on who's holding the ladder and how long they have been holding it. And we stop discerning and do a check-in. Like just a few moments ago, I got an email from AT&T and said, check my battery. And they gave me a list of things to check to make sure that my battery was correct and was functioning as it should be. We don't check in with the people that are holding our ladders because they've been there for a while. So they automatically, but we don't realize that off to the side, people have been murmuring in their ears. They've got uncomfortable, they got unhappy, they got disillusioned. And then people are telling them, well, hey, you just being a flunky, you're just doing this. And they think now all of a sudden they think they're being under control rather than submission. And they think in submission, meaning I'm decreasing myself and elevating you. Because I started late in ministry, everybody that I served was always younger than me. And it never was an issue to me about the age of the person. It was my purpose to serve. When you put aside all these other things and know what you're called to do, you never look at the person age or whatever. It's what I'm called to do. I'm called to serve you. And I love that in spirit and in truth. I'm called to serve you. So I don't have to look at anything. And if I can't get the right support while I'm going up, then I'm going to be shaky on my ascension to my destiny. And people, you have to look down and be concerned about who's holding it, because they've been with you for 20 years. No, yeah, they've been with you for 20 years. But one of the things I'm learning is longevity does not mean loyalty. It just means you know how to stay. And when you look at this contradiction,
yes, because we gotta go, because these people need a turn. I'm trying not to stop you, but you said longevity doesn't always mean loyalty. It just means you know how to stay.
Yes, sir.
So throw the rest of the question away. Throw it away. I didn't say THROW. I said throw. Throw it away. And I want you to focus just on that for the next 2 minutes. Will you do that for me?
Yes, sir. What happens is we look at people and we see them where we think they should be. And because they've been there and because they was always at the party, they always open the door, but we never checked the heart of the person. Even when they was going around looking at who's going to be the next king, everybody looking on the outside, but nobody ever checked the heart. As leaders, we got to start checking hearts, because we do the outside work is not working. Check the heart. You can see little things, but you dismiss them because they've been there for a while. Sometimes they will walk away from the ladder and you'll never know they're gone, because you continue going up thinking the person that was supposed to hold it is still there. And when you come to talk about vision and things, I remember when it was time for me to leave from where I was, I couldn't hold his ladder anymore because his ladder had nothing to do with my destiny. And I didn't want to leave him shaking as he was climbing. So I had to say, hey, look, sir, I can't be a ladder holder. Not that I don't love you or respect you, but my situation has changed, and I don't want to be holding something that's not holding me. I'm almost getting like Elizabeth. Don't you start. I can't do this. So in that vein, I need to check the heart. I need to do a regular checkup with everybody. Talk to everybody. Have lunch with them, and then look and discern. Not just sit up there going, "Oh, you're doing a great job." You need to listen to what people say, because you can hear what they're doing.
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Sir, if we did not have these other panelists, that would be the coup de grace. That would be the crescendo. I promise you. Listen, family, here's what I want you to put in the chat. And this is going to take a sincere move of humility. Lord, help me to know what I have the hands for. I want you to put that in the chat, and I really need you to ask God that with sincerity. I don't care what your position is. I'm asking him for me. If I don't have the hands for this anymore, help me to remove my hands from it. Let me be honest and transparent enough with myself first, and then with those who I'm called to serve or walk with and lead with, to say to them, I don't have the hands for this anymore. That's going to take great humility, but it's so necessary, because here's the reality, family. When you keep your hands on something that it shouldn't be on, you contaminate the entire ladder, and you make it difficult for those who are supposed to ascend to be able to climb. There is a level of codependency, family, that can be created between the climber and the ladder holder. That level of codependency is psychologically rooted, and it has to be uprooted. But there is a sub level of codependency that I want you to deal with also, Dr. A, where many times I'm so focused on what my counterpart is not doing that I don't realize I've become distracted from doing what I'm supposed to be doing, which means, Bishop, they ain't never here and I'm always here. You let them get away with everything and you don't let me get away with nothing. By the mere fact that you know everything they do and don't do says that you're too distracted to do what you're supposed to do, and that's a level of perverted codependency. It's impossible to do what you're supposed to do, but you can accurately count what other folk are not doing. God never called you to be responsible for what they do. He called you to bear their burdens when they do it. But it's your job to do what you're called to do. I want you to deal very quickly. You got 2 minutes to deal with this psychology behind this.
Yes, Bishop. The codependency relationship is very dysfunctional. It's where you're operating in patterns, in this leadership pattern where you don't even know it's happened until you burned out or you broken down. You compulsively worry about the feelings of other people, and even sometimes taking responsibility for their actions and their emotions. What it all boils down to quickly is sometimes the holder of the ladder confuses with being needed and being valued. Then the climber will confuse with being supported with being superior. Because
didn't I tell you had 2 minutes, woman?
I'm stopping.
But no, you getting sirens. Now you gotta throw the question away. I want you to focus on the difference and the necessary discernment one must have to detect between needed and value. I just need you to deal with that.
Bishop, quickly. This interdependence requires this mutual respect and boundaries. Back to boundaries again. We have to make sure that it is set on who is doing what purpose they serve, what are they doing. So when you start dealing with that codependency, that there could be one that is needed in a certain area, and that's their area. And then they're confused with being valued, where they can take over a whole area where they were not needed in, and begin to have a complex of both ways, Bishop, of being valued and not being valued, because it's going to come out either way. That's why the heart, when you talk about the heart, because it's going to come out. It's going to be either some type of blow up or burn out if you don't set these boundaries. And then the climber will confuse with being supported to now they're being superior, because they're supported. They do a lot. They have a lot to do. They're climbing. Now they feel superior. If we deal with a codependent relationship, you got the climber and you got the holder. Now everybody's, when you talk about psychological standpoints, this is between the climber and the holders. You form identity issues because the identity depends upon their usefulness. And that's where they start basing their identity upon how they're used, their usefulness, what they're doing. And so you have to make sure there's boundaries set in those relationships, because that's a dysfunctional relationship. It's not going to work out. It has to go back to interdependence.
And again, what you seem to be intimating to me, and KC, I want you to get ready to take this lob, is that sometimes within specifically our charismatic churches of color, specifically, and then just let me say churches of color, the church is the only place where we can come and be somebody without having to be credentialed, without having to be vetted. Without having to matriculate and go throughout the halls of higher learning, because nobody wants to contend with the fact if God really called you, if you really are who you say you are. And so sometimes, because we have no identity anywhere else, we have to come here to find identity. And sadly enough, we make position synonymous with identity. If you ask someone in church, who are you? Well, I'm a deacon. No, I didn't ask you what you do. I asked you who you were. And I believe, here is what you said, and this is what I got from it. You can correct me, that before I have a hand position, I have to have a heart posture, because it is my heart posture that's going to enhance, enable, and sustain my hand position. That's Lord have mercy. That's some good stuff. Now, KC, I didn't do it to you. Pastor T did it to you, because this dude thought he was Tupac. He said, wars come and go, but my soldiers stay eternal. No, I'm sorry. He didn't say that. What he said was, it's hard to win a spiritual war with emotional soldiers. We got to talk about it, because you heard me say last night, one of the most dangerous prophets in the world is an emotional prophet, because you think it's God when it's really your feelings and your emotions. It's dangerous to be an emotional believer. And sometimes we have been reared in churches where we've called everything a demon. The late Dr. Jack Hayford said, you cannot counsel a demon. He said, but you can't cast out the flesh either. Sometimes you've got to be ministered to psychologically, and you may have some mental issues, and you may have to learn what Peter Schizo called emotionally healthy Christianity, where it's okay to be an emotional being. It's okay to feel. It's okay to process thoughts and feelings, but you got to know how to balance them. I want you to talk to us in about 2 minutes about the importance of emotional intelligence and what it looks like maintaining a relationship between the climber. Matter of fact, I'm throwing that out the window. I want you to talk to us about the importance of being an emotionally healthy Christian.
Yeah, emotional intelligence is important, especially in Christianity. It's when we first come to Christianity, we have all these different things that we're trying to learn to live. We never lived a life like this before, and so we have all these different things that we never dealt with in the world coming at us. But now we can't avoid it. We can't numb it. We have to deal with it, and that's where our emotional intelligence comes in at. So what emotional intelligence basically is, it's learning how to recognize what you feel, why you feel it, and how not to let it run your life. And learning that, especially when you're in a community of people who are also sick, who are also trying to heal, who are also trying to get delivered, you have to learn how to deal with your own stuff, how to not put that off on other people, and how to not receive other people's mess too when they try to give it to you. So emotional intelligence is extremely important in the Christian community, for you to be emotionally healthy, in order for you to grow and in order for you to be spiritually mature.
Lord have mercy. Good stuff. Good stuff. Same lob coming to you, Pastor T. How does trust function as the foundation of any ladder holding relationship? And to give you that plug from KC, Evangelist KC, how does emotional intelligence and balanced emotionalism play a role in that as well?
Well, trust is the glue that keeps the climb steady. You can't climb confidently if you're constantly checking the ladder stability. So you can't go up a ladder if you're constantly looking back down, trying to see if the ladder is going to wobble or if it's going to move. And some of us are anointed, but we're anxious because we're surrounded by people who only hold us when it's convenient. But when trust is present, tension turns into traction. Real trust let me focus on the assignment and not on the anxiety. If I trust you, I can focus on the assignment. If I trust you, then I'm not concerned about anything and my anxiety seemingly goes away. Trust doesn't mean I know everything. It just means I believe something. It means I believe that believe the God that called me also equipped me, the hands that hold me. Because if I have to question your grip, I'll never reach my goal. Faith gets you started, but trust gets you steady. Your ladder can't.
See, this is what I'm talking about. We have one more person who's got to answer their question, and you're selfish. You're just selfish, Pastor T. Come back one more time and reiterate that, please.
You don't need people who admire your climb. You need people who anchor your calling. Faith gets you started, but trust gets you steady, and your ladder can't hold the weight of your loyalty can't carry. See, trust isn't just about them; it's about you. So some of us got to stop trusting other people because we never heal from who dropped us. And so many of us, I see this a lot. Many of us are still interacting with people, and we're interfacing with them with the stuff that happened to us years ago. Sigmund Freud calls it significant emotional events, and it shapes the way we lead people. It shapes how we interact with people, and it goes back. That also goes with the emotional intelligence as also. But the God who lets you fall didn't fail you. He was the God. He was teaching you how to land. Trust says I can't stand against even I can stand against even after after I fall. And when you learn to trust God enough to trust people, you stop climbing in paranoia and you start climbing peacefully. Now that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
So for your son-in-law, when I asked him just to give me that little bit, he came and dropped new bombs. He didn't reiterate old bombs. He said, you thought that was something. Wait until you hear the rest of it. Okay, I got you. That's your story, and you're sticking to it. So that's good stuff, man. Listen, this is going to be the final question, and here is what I want those of you in the audience to do. Those who are logged on with us, I need you to drop in the chat what you feel about this ladder holder and ladder climbing dynamic. If you have a question, ask the question. But if you have a statement that you need to make that you believe is going to bless somebody. Now, let me say this. I'm not asking you to pray for nobody. I'm not asking you to prophesy to nobody. I'm not asking you to give a long dissertation. I'm only asking you to drop a bullet or a bomb that you believe can be a blessing to somebody else, okay? That's what I need you to do. So again, I want you to make ready to do precisely that as we get ready to come to a close. But listen, Pastor Mason Taylor, what are the signs? Because there's something that Pastor T talked about, that relationship of trust. Can it be that sometimes that relationship has become cancerous and eroded because of the fact of the matter that that person did something to lose my trust or to betray my trust? Should there be a time when I allow them to regain that trust? Or is it sometimes beyond repair? I have to forgive them, I have to love them, but I yet have to replace them in business and in ministry. How do I know when it's time to develop, retrain, and sometimes reprogram and deprogram as opposed to realign? But sometimes how do I know when it's just time to replace?
One thing hit my mind, and I'm not sure if you all have ever experienced this. When you start the business, you're the show. But as you develop the business and you bring on others to help you drive the business, you notice when it's time, because the drive is gone. Not only is the drive gone, but you start being the show again. And when you start being the show again and you start feeling the weight of the burden again, that's when you should say to yourself, something's happening here. Something's out of line. It's almost like a vehicle. When you first purchase it, it rides real smooth. It rides real nice. It's all kind and wonderful. But then after a time, when the tires start wearing down on it, help us, sir. You start noticing something's happening because it's veering off when it should be. I used to be able to drive without my hands on the steering wheel, but now that I'm riding down the road, the vehicle is veering off just a little bit. Something's wrong. And I got to figure out what's happening, which means for most of us, we have to take it to somebody to give us an alignment, because we've detected that something is not right, because this was one moving smoothly, but now it's off course. Sir, I don't want to have any problems today.
And your daddy was getting ready to say, before I have a problem with you, let me go ahead and jump in and say this, because this is really good, daughter. So hear this. Could it be that some relationships never had to be ruptured? That some misunderstandings never had to happen?
That's right.
That some breakdowns on our anatomical, spiritual, and mechanical vehicles never had to happen had we paid attention to the signs.
Had we paid attention, yes, sir.
Had we did what was right. Now, sometimes we feel God saying that's enough. They've outlived their purpose and their usage. It's time to move on from them. It's time to break up from them. It's time to reposition them. Because just because you reposition them doesn't mean that they don't have value or they still don't have a place. It may not be that place. But sometimes because we are so loyal to nostalgia and what we've become accustomed to, we leave certain people in place too long. And here's how I like to characterize it, family. I'm going to sum it up like this. We miss our exits. If you've ever missed an exit in a metropolis like Dallas or Houston, it ain't like missing an exit in Shreveport. Trust me. If you miss an exit in Shreveport, you can catch the next one. And for those of you who are Shreveportians, you know, if I miss Monkhouse, I got Jewella. If I miss Jewella, oh, I got Hearn. If I miss Hearn, I got Greenwood. Oh, but don't you dare miss an exit in a metropolis. And sometimes we miss our exits because we're so used to driving the same course. That's good stuff. Guys, listen, thank y'all so very much. We're going to hear from our audience, and then we're going to come back with our one-word segment and let you guys give us the one word that's going to be needed for somebody today. Lisa Shante says, actions make the word. Number two, they acknowledge your effort, and you can sit in your consideration in decisions. Dr. Pamela Phoenix said, emotions are the epitome of controversy in the church. There are individuals that will not allow you to enter a relationship of intimacy because they are wounded and are planted in superficiality. Trust is a mandatory attribute with regards to relationship. That is good stuff. Mr. Tyrone Cromwell said, be grateful for your ladder. They will help you to get to your assigned plateau. Prophetess Natalie Morris said, emotional engine light was on. Help me, Jesus. I got it. Dr. Pamela Phoenix again said it can be compared to a wife that's being abused. Lord have mercy. And she lets her Christian relationship with the Lord tell her to keep believing God by faith versus leaving. Lord, I don't know what woman may be in that predicament, but let me tell you, the law is for the lawless. Don't you stay there and be religiously guilted into getting your brains beat out. If he's beating you, he does not honor you. He does not love you. He does not deserve you. If she's beating you, she does not honor you. She does not love you, and she does not deserve you. Let's go ahead and get out of there. Momo Jones said, we see the signs and choose to miss our exit. Facts, which simply states, when someone shows you themselves, go ahead and believe them. Stop lying to yourself, believing they're going to be someone that they are not. Again, any questions, comments, or concerns, this floor is now open. We're going to go to our panelists and we're going to get this one word as we get ready to close out. Pastor Elizabeth Mason Taylor. And guys, let me say this also for your consideration right now. I'm inviting them back next week to close this out as we come to the conclusion of the matter. I know there's so much left that they need to say. We're going to get to the segment that we were getting to, but yet we're going to have fresh and relevant information to give to you at the same time. What is your one word, Pastor Elizabeth Mason Taylor?
My one word is align. Align. And the reason I am saying that is because the word tells us God has given us everything pertaining to life and godliness. You already have what it takes. Align yourself. And that's my word.
I love it. I love it. He's already given it to us. We just got to get in alignment in order to receive it. I got it. I got it. KC.
Yes, sir. My word is grace, because grace gives strength to the person holding the letter and the person climbing.
So you're saying grace is a two-way street, subjective and objective at the same time. I love it. I love it. I love it. Dr. A, what's your one word?
Interdependence. I'm a movement by myself, but I'm a force when we're together.
I love it. I love it. So we have alignment, grace, and interdependence. I love it. Pastor T.
My word for today is trust, because progress requires belief in the balance between command and cooperation.
So alignment, we have grace, interdependence, and trust. I got it. I got it. I got it. Apostle Ford.
My one word is loyalty, because stability depends on faithfulness of the hands that's holding the ladder.
So again, guys, we have alignment, we have grace, we have trust, we have interdependence. And Apostle Ford, one more time.
It is loyalty.
Loyalty. Do y'all see this gumbo God is making? Alexander, you're going to close us, but just give me that word, because a word is a fragmentary part of a sentence. Let's go ahead and make this sentence real quick. Come on.
Let's say succession.
Woo.
Succession. It's
So
the word.
Where there is alignment and there is grace, there is also going to be trust.
Mm-hmm.
There is also going to be interdependence. It's going to create loyalty, and it's going to give birth to succession. Isn't the Holy Ghost wonderful, y'all? You can't make this up. You can't. We just gave you the ingredients for succession. What that means is we've given you the necessary components to make sure you build something that outlives you. And it's not legacy if it dies with you. That's what we all should be looking to do. Pour into someone, duplicating ourselves, creating a legacy so it doesn't have to end with you. Alexander, I want you to go ahead and pay specific attention to those in the audience. They may be dropping their prayer requests. They may be dropping their answers, their comments, concerns, or questions. We want you to address them. But then we also want you to get ready to give them the opportunity to do what it is that they need to do. And then we want to pray for them. And we're going to close out by giving them the takeaways to take home. We're in your hands.
Thank you, sir. I want to, those of you that are in the audience, your prayer requests, we're getting ready to pray. We're getting ready to pray. And you may have your one word. We're praying that legacy. We're praying that God give us what it is our hands are graced to do. And so that's what we're praying now. We're preparing now to look to the Lord. Father, it is again, sir, that we say thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the wisdom, the wherewithal. Thank you for giving us a discerning eye and ear, that our hands will do what only you've assigned them to do in this season. We thank you that we even have the wisdom in succession that we'll train somebody. We'll bring somebody up the ladder. And we thank you for it. We thank you for the wisdom. We thank you for Bishop Mason, who you allowing to give birth to these segments, that we'll all be better together. It's in the name of Jesus. We thank you for legacy. We thank you for succession. We thank you for alignment. We thank you because nobody can do this but you. In Jesus' name we pray. Thank you, Father. Amen and amen. Listen, y'all know what it's time to do. It's time to put seed in the ground. It's time to partner with this E320 empowerment. And if you can tell, we're continuing to grow. Bishop Mason has vision. And the question is now, are you a ladder holder? You don't have to be a member of Impact, but you can be a ladder holder. And that's the thing. Everybody that hold your ladder may not be sitting in your lap. And so you are on this segment each week, which qualifies you to be a ladder holder. Your seed today says, I'm holding the ladder. I need somebody else to get this. I need somebody else to know there is life after these times in different areas we've touched. If it is that you want to partner with us, partner with the vision of the E320 empowerment, you can do so. Your Cash App is $E320 empowerment. Venmo at the E320. Again, the vision of Bishop Mason for this E320, one is to resuscitate. And I just want to know, can you stand by while CPR is being given? Can you stand by while the electrical paddles are being put on the chest? You stand by with your seed. You help him stretch the vision of the E320 empowerment. We are considered midwives, ladder holders. We're not pushing. It's the pain in the midnight that he have, but we're all standing by. We're holding the ladder so that it'll be steady. That's what our seeds say. And you dare not put seed in the ground and don't expect a return from it. We're not trying to sell you something. We're not trying to get something from you. The reality is, if you tell the truth, we've already gotten something to you. We've already gotten it to you. And so sow the seed. And if you're looking at it as it's just money, you don't qualify to hold the ladder. It's a connection. It's a conduit between you at the bottom of the ladder and the ladder holder. Let's put our seed in the ground. Let's put our seed in the ground. And what we're saying is vision. Have more vision, Bishop. Have more vision. Stretch this platform as far as it can go. Stretch it so that we can all grow and be who we need to be in Christ. Again, our sowing is $E320 empowerment and Venmo at the E320. Once you've done that, please drop it in the chat. I am a ladder holder. Just drop it there. We're not asking you to change your church home. We're asking you if you're willing to be a ladder holder so somebody else can get what you've gotten. That's the only reason you keep showing up, because the food is good. Bishop, we thank you so kindly, sir. We're back in your hands.
Well, thank you so very much, Apostle Alexander. Listen, guys, here are our takeaways for today. And I want you to go ahead and put it on the screen if you can, administration. You guys drop it in the chat for those that may not get it as fast as they need to. And I want you to take your own personal notes. Number one, I want you to walk away with this: the right hands matter. Not everyone close to you is called to stabilize you. Proximity without purpose leads to disaster. You have got to have people within proximity who have purpose. Again, the right hands matter. Number two, support must mature. A ladder holder who never climbs becomes a liability, not a legacy. Train others to rise and do not make them comfortable staying down. Number three, discernment is protection. Emotional attachment cannot replace spiritual assignment. Test the fruit, not your feelings. Because sometimes your feelings will pervert the fruit or the perception thereof. Number four, boundaries prevent collapse. You don't protect your ladder by accident. You protect it with clarity, accountability, order, and here's one word I want you to add to that, administration: intentionality. Again, clarity, and then you test it also with accountability, order, and intentionality. Number 5, honor builds stability. Again, honor builds stability. Relationships that are rooted in honor keep the ladder steady and the climb safe. Now, we're talking and ending with this concept of honor. Those of you who understand my latest work, The Honor Code, you understand, some of you've read it. It has been a blessing to you, pastors, leaders. We want you to take it to your jobs, teach it to your employees. Let it become a part of your onboarding process. Teach it as your Bible study. I'm asking everybody who can and will to partner with me and help me spread this message of honor so that we can ultimately be honorable people who walk in the love of God. The Spirit of grace says something to me this morning. He said, son, it's impossible for you to be honorable and not be loving. And it's impossible for you to be truly loving and not be honorable. By this shall men know that you're my disciples, that you have love one for another. In other words, that you know how to properly honor each other. And so again, if you want an honor code t-shirt, they're going to put that information on the screen. If you want to get this book, it's going to be on the screen. I dare you to go and visit our website, where there is a vast array of resources that can help you through some of the things that you're going through, if not all of the things. Can you put that on the screen as well? We're going to make one last confession and charge. That's it. Stan.store/Rasby G Mason 2. I dare you to just go take a browse. It costs you nothing to do so. But guess what? You not doing so could cost you a whole lot. And so I want you to do that. Here is our final charge and confession about our ladder holding. Let's say this together. Now, I will no longer climb without clarity. I will no longer give sacred weight to unstable hands. I choose honor, I choose order, and I choose discernment. I will value myself enough to expect safe support. And I declare by faith that those who hold my ladder will not just steady me, they will grow, rise, and climb themselves. I am covered, I am supported, I am safe, and I am steady in the assignment of God. One last time, can we do it? I know you didn't trust me at first, but now that you've heard it, can you trust me enough to recite it? Let's do it. I will no longer climb without clarity. I will no longer give sacred weight to unstable hands. I choose honor, I choose order, and I choose discernment. I will value myself enough to expect safe support. And I declare by faith that those who hold my ladder will not just steady me, they themselves will grow. They will rise and they will climb themselves. I'm covered, I'm supported, I'm safe, and I'm steady in the assignment of God. Well, there you have it, family. Listen, we have come to the conclusion of the matter, and I am so very grateful that you stayed throughout its entirety. We didn't just talk about climbing. We talked about holding. We talked about surviving the climbing. We talked about having the right kind of support. And so until next time, I want to declare to you, whether me, Apostle Perry Ford, Apostle Gwendolyn Alexander, Dr. A. Adrian Woods, Evangelist K.C. Kimberly Clark, Pastor T. Terrence Sandifer, and my daughter, Pastor Elizabeth Mason Taylor, meet you right here on the air, or we meet you in the air. Here's a promise. We will see you again. We love you. Grace and peace.
You can ask for, you can ask for, you can ask for. I'm trying to tell you, you can ask for. You can ask for. You can ask. He's gonna blow your mind. You can ask. He's gonna make you way. her. You can ask her.